Day. So I'm going to ask each of the candidates to introduce themselves in 3 minutes. 4 minutes, isn't it? 4 minutes for that. And then for the topics that I've nominated, I think we're going to have to keep it down to 2 minutes because otherwise we're going to be here all night. At 3 minutes, at 15 minutes, 15 seconds, 15 minutes would be a long time. 15 seconds before you are asked to stop speaking, you will hear this. And at the time you should stop speaking, you will hear this. And if you keep going much longer than that, you will find out what you hear, but you don't want to do that. Those who've seen me do this before will know that I am particularly ruthless with that, so please don't push the envelope. So, first up we have Lauren Sherson. She studied psychology at university. She has run entrepreneurial leadership programs. She's probably much better at pronouncing that than I am. She's had active role in the arts, particularly in the Alex Theatre and the St Kilda Arts Crawl, and has done many other things besides, which I'm sure she will introduce. Lauren, thank you.
Thank you, John. And I would also like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land and pay respect to elders past, present and future and their connection to the land. Our community here in Albert Park is defined by creative, compassionate and committed individuals. And our culture here is entrepreneurial. Here in this room, we have project managers, we have ideas people, and we have supporters and the will to make meaningful change to increase our quality of life. But we have not been listened to and our cries for help have been cast aside. Taking opportunity away from me, or from people, and from communities is my personal trigger. For me, I grew up in public housing, but that wasn't until grade 1. Before then, I started life living in a convent. Then I moved to the Tally Ho Boys Orphanage and had a couple of years in social housing before my mum was offered her secure residence, which she still resides in today, despite no running water in her kitchen. If there was something that I needed or I wanted in life, I had to be resourceful and creative and to find a way. And I've always had an uncanny knack of finding four-leaf clovers, and I even found one last Sunday. From right back in the 1980s, I would press and contact four-leaf clovers, and I would sell the small ones for $1 and the larger ones for $2, and I started making $30 to $50 on weekends. But what I discovered is that it wasn't luck that people were buying and carrying in their wallets, it was the hope for opportunity. I started my first company when I was 22 and completed a Master of Entrepreneurship and Innovation at 26 and spent the next 10 years lecturing in entrepreneurship across Swinburne and RMIT universities. I've been part of the development and growth of thousands of commercial and social ventures. And when I jump on board a campaign for funding, for access, for community participation, I'm like a dog with a bone and I will not go until the opportunity has been realised. My husband and I live in Albert Park and we got married here. And our front porch is like a venue with locals constantly popping by and sharing what's happening in the world. During COVID, I fought for ISO Buddy Directive as singles were being discriminated against. I fought for artists to get paid gigs and came up with the concept of driving gigs. I fought for small business owners through my board position on Self-Employed Australia and also for Somali Melburnians to have social network access. I also fight for mental health and I've studied psychology to learn how to bring mental wellness to individuals and communities. After all the opportunities in the world cannot be realised without healthy minds. We must support people to be in the position to seize the opportunities that come their way. Tonight, you'll learn about the policies and initiatives I bring with me to Albert Park. But right now, I'd like you to feel underneath your chair for an envelope. The four-leaf clover that I found this week is in this room. I don't know where it is. It's mysteriously placed under a chair. And this clover is my commitment to you that if I am elected, I will bring creativity, compassion and opportunity to Albert Park. Oh, fantastic. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lauren. Next, we have Georgie Dragwidge. She's done lots of things in her life, and that's to remind you all to turn off your phones, which I'm sure you'll all now do. Lauren has done lots of things. Georgie has done lots of things. She's been the Women's Officer at La Trobe University when she was studying there. She's been a union official. Then she's been an account manager, essentially helping companies to sell software, both in all kinds of things, legal industry support and training. And then she has, for a long time, run Georgie's Harvest at the South Melbourne Market, which for those of you like me, and I suspect that's many in the room who spend lots of time at the South Melbourne Market, I think is the potato stall in between the organic stall and the florist on the outside of the market. So, Georgie, it's a privilege to have you here, and thank you very much for coming. Georgie, of course, is an independent candidate.
Hello, everybody. I would also like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land, the people of the Kulin Nation. I pay my respect to their elders, past and present. I'd also like to take this opportunity to express my appreciation to the elders who have actually helped me during this really exciting campaign. They've been there to support me and to share their wisdom with me, and it has made a very exciting and sometimes challenging task even more delightful and more brilliant because of the wisdom that they shared. And in return, I'd also like to make a statement today that if I was elected next year, hopefully we're going to have a referendum. I'm going to use my voice, given the platform, to actually step off the platform and put the First Nation peoples on my platform for a little while and let them educate us as to why the voice is as important as it is. So this is my commitment, that I will actually give them a stage to stand on to educate us as to what needs to occur. I'd like to also thank Unchained. As we said, democracy is really important. If we didn't have forums like this, especially people like me, without the budget, without the resources, couldn't be heard. So I have my sincerest thanks to Unchained for allowing me to be part of this tonight. Who am I? So as mentioned, I also own Georgie's Harvest, and that's why I wear my apron tonight. So many hours were discussed as to whether or not I wear it, but why do I wear it here tonight? Because it actually represents who I am. And who am I? I'm a small business holder, and what does that mean? That means I work with lots of other small businesses who are often challenged and come to me ripping their hair out saying, what do I do? Or they come to me seeking opportunity, and I'm able to present that to them. They say to me, which shop should I present to? And I say to them, go to this store, go to this store. And this is the angle that you need to sell to them. And it really works for those small businesses. I get to work with council because they're the landlord of the city of Port Phillip. So they get to present to me the ideas, and I get to work with them and hopefully have a constructive relationship where we harness the best for our market, which is an amazing community asset. Wearing the apron, I'm also the person you're probably going to bump into when you're having a bad day and you need somebody to talk to. That's actually probably fundamentally what caused me to be standing here today. For the last 2 years, I stood in my shop and everyone came in and said what they wanted changed. They also said a lot of things that were working really well and how blessed we are to be in Australia, especially during COVID. But they also told me what they want to see changed. And I believe that I have the ability to actually present that change in a non-partisan way. I can actually work with whichever side of government comes into power. I could also hopefully work with lots of independents that are there to actually moderate and make successful changes to it. Personally, I'm also a mother of 15-year-old twins who give me a lot of resilience training and make it exceptional. But they also teach me about integrity. They also teach me about what we need in the education system. They also hold me accountable to why I need to stand up and represent the environment. This is who I am. Tonight I'm going to have lots of opportunities to discuss different positions that I have. Please be open to listening to me. This is the one chance that I get to actually express who I am. If you're impressed with what you hear, after tonight, I already ask you now, go out and tell people that you heard the independent. She's worth your vote. I'm not going to be doing preference negotiations, so vote for me, number one, and then you can put any of them next. So I'm asking for your first preference. I'm not going to get this platform again, so sorry if I'm making a hard sell, but this is why I'm here. And later on, we're going to talk about health and the environment and all the other things that make me tick and I'm super passionate about. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Georgie. Next, we have Nina Taylor. Nina has started off life doing all kinds of things, but amongst other things, doing a dip ed and then teaching. She then saw the light and did a law degree. Excellent choice, Nina, not that I'm biased, and practiced law very briefly and then saw the light and stopped doing that. Also excellent choice, Nina. Has done all kinds of things for a while, was working effectively as a helping to sell health products, particularly as AstraZeneca, which was mainly in the diabetes space, and of course, no doubt, saw plenty of the health system from there, and then became a councillor for the city of Glen Eira, and for the last 4 years has been a member of the Upper House of Victoria, and amongst other things became the Parliamentary Secretary for Health. So Nina's obviously hoping to move from the upper house to the lower house, and we look forward to hearing your story. Thank you.
I will thank Unchained and Surge for having this forum here tonight. Can I acknowledge the Mayor and Councillors as well? I can see you out there. So my name is Nina Taylor and I am the Labor candidate for Albert Park. I'm a local and currently serve as a Parliamentary Secretary for Health. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we're gathered and pay my respects to Elders past and present and to all First Nations peoples in the room. Our path towards treaty must be led by Aboriginal Victorians. This year, the elected First Peoples Assembly of Victoria took the floor to Parliament to speak to the importance of our path towards treaty and truth. Because we can't look towards a better future without first confronting our past, I should say. That's why we've appointed the Aboriginal-led Yurruk Justice Commission and passed Australia's first Treaty Authority Bill to chart the course for a new shared future. I have real-life experience in standing up for marginalised communities, including as a teacher, as a lawyer, experience in the health sector and in a union protecting the health and safety of workers, volunteering at the Women's Legal Service, protecting family violence survivors, in local government, most recently over the past 4 years representing the Southern Metro region in state government, fighting for equality, climate action, justice, and for those left behind, because I will always fight for what's fair. Having worked as government whip to help guide passage of legislation through Parliament to drive our nation-leading reform agenda, I know how to bring people together to get things done. As part of the Andrews Labor government, I have been there on the front lines, fighting for our progressive policies. We will restart the State Energy Commission, which will invest in 100% renewable energy to protect our planet and put money back in the hands of Victorians. And just announced today, we will, if re-elected, allocate $42 million for 100 neighbourhood batteries, and there is one for the city of Port Phillip. I'm immensely proud to have been part of delivering decriminalised sex work, circular economy reform to slash waste and increase sustainability. We've banned conversion therapy to protect our LGBTQI+ Victorians. We've built the nation's first Pride Centre. We're bringing in public IVF treatment. We've started, and completed, a world-leading mental health Royal Commission and are on track to implement all its recommendations. We've invested in our arts and culture with over $100 million for the sector, supporting our live music scene as well as our live music venues, including a $1.7 billion program to upgrade the NGV, the whole Melbourne Arts Precinct. We are also investing in our local waterfront as part of a $55 million redevelopment of St Kilda Pier. to protect our little penguins and our waterfront for future generations. We've begun work to bring down the cost of living by cracking down on short-stay accommodation such as Airbnb, holding dodgy developers to account. We've built or under construction 6,300 social and affordable homes, with thousands more on the way, all of which will be 6- and 7-star energy rated, because we're getting on with the job and we're doing what matters. Your choice this November could not be starker between the Liberals and their recycled leader Matthew Guy, who in this election has candidates running who want to wind back safe schools, wind back women's rights, wind back our climate targets, while continually demonising our most vulnerable Victorians, engaging in dangerous culture wars and pandering to the far right, and undermining our response to a once-in-a-generation pandemic. Or you can choose a progressive Labor government. There is so much more to do, and I need your vote to do it. Thank you.
Thank you very much to Nina. And our final candidate is Kim Samiotis from the Greens. She too has a very varied history. I was actually noticing as I was putting all of these biographies together that all of our candidates have at one stage or another worked for the private sector, and most of them have at one stage or another worked for the public sector. I don't know that many electorates in Victoria would be able to say that. And of course, the one thing that we are missing is any gender diversity at all. Which is occasionally a very good problem to have. So Kim grew up in Perth and was in property development there. She then came across to Melbourne and worked for the Melbourne Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And more recently has been working in a very large local hospital that apparently I'm not allowed to name, but they're large. And she's been working in the operations area of the emergency department, so very much in our health sector. Kim, it's terrific to have you here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John, and thank you to everybody for coming out tonight. It would be remiss of me to not pay my respects to the Boon Wurrung people of the Kulin Nation. As a Greens member, I'm committed very strongly to truth, treaty and voice, and understanding that the land that we live on has never been ceded and remains sovereign land. I'm really excited to be here and speaking with everyone tonight because there's this very tangible opportunity for change that's happening in our area, and a lot of people have been happy just sort of plodding along and doing things how we've always been doing them, and that's great if you're comfortable. But we're in a critical decade for climate action at the moment. We've passed 9 of 15 irreversible tipping points for our planet. Even the great David Attenborough is standing up and pleading on the regular basis with the COP27 and every year seems to do the same speech to say, is this how we end? Is this our story for humanity, that we are so short-sighted that we cannot see what's right in front of our faces? For short-term gain, we'll sacrifice the long-term health of our planet and our communities. As John rightly pointed out, I have a very diverse background coming from the Chamber of Commerce, coming from property development and real estate agencies, things that I've been passionate about and remain passionate about, small business and allowing those sectors of our community to contribute in a really positive way to our society. In all of those jobs where I've been, I've contributed to finding solutions, to building connections and to finding innovations, no matter what the industry, whether it's been the emergency department or it's been working for banking finance companies. I've found better ways of doing things and I've become always an integral part of making how those teams work. I come from a Greek background and as Dad describes my mum's side of the family, skippies. And with that, I learned a very powerful part of community and having an open door to everybody who comes in from all walks of life. And speaking of all walks of life, it's been really important to me for some of the very rare occasions I've been able to get away from my work to be able to go out into the community to meet with public housing residents right across our electorate. And they have some really powerful stories to tell about how difficult it's been for them to stay in their housing. There's 100,000 Victorians on wait lists at the moment for public housing, and we're only anticipating about 10,000 new homes to be coming into the market. I want to fight really hard for that equality for everybody. I think we're a very prosperous area of the state. I think many of us are financially blessed, even if we feel like we're not. We're in really well-off positions. And my experience with people is that when we are well off and we're financially comfortable is the time when we're able to actually look outwards and find ways that we can benefit our community and the people around us. I think as a wealthy state we have a very real opportunity to be able to care for everybody without discrimination and without favour of anyone. But I feel like our public housing tenants at the moment are really being left behind. As a Greens member, I feel like I stand on the shoulders of giants. For every social issue or environmental issue that I find that I become passionate about, I have extraordinary mentors, people who are willing to stop whatever they're doing to sit with me and share their experience, whether it's Christine Milne, Marine Faruqi, local neighbouring MP Sam Hibbins, who's about to be re-elected into his third term in office after fighting very hard for his community's benefits. I benefit from all of their experience and the great mentorship that they show me. Both Labor and Liberals still take large donations from property developers, from lobbyist groups, from big industry, and I think we need to talk about having independent representation for our area because we need to reinstall our integrity to Parliament.
Thank you very much.